It's always exciting. Sometimes there's even between the workmen a bit of a competition. Who will find first?
Whether Moses is legend or fact, he is a towering figure in all Abrahamic religions.
Moreover, I have heard the groaning of the Israelites whom the Egyptians are enslaving, and I've remembered my covenant.
Have you ever heard of Moses? Whether you're a Christian, Muslim, or Jewish, the name is likely familiar to you. Moses is a pivotal figure in the history of all three Abrahamic religions. Some view him as a legendary hero, while others see him as a historical figure. According to many biblical accounts, Moses' burial site has remained a mystery for centuries. However, renowned modern-day explorer Josh Gates claims to have uncovered this long-lost tomb. Describing it as an artificial stone mound concealing a tomb beneath, Gates has sparked excitement and controversy worldwide. But the discovery doesn't end there. Gates reports finding something truly terrifying inside the tomb. What did he see, and why is it causing such a stir in religious communities across the globe? Get ready, because what we're about to reveal might just blow your mind. We are Jesus' eternal aura. In today's video, you will have appropriate answers to all the questions above. Before you know what happened, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and click the bell icon for all the latest updates.
This was a feat that deserved a magnificent burial and a majestic tomb.
Moses' life and the discovery of his burial site have long been subjects of fascination and debate. Known as the great prophet who led the Israelites out of Egyptian bondage, Moses' story is rich with historical and religious significance. Despite the vast records of his achievements, one aspect of Moses' story remains a mystery: his final resting place. In a quest to uncover this elusive burial site, Josh Gates embarked on an expedition to Mount Nebo. Before delving into Gates' findings, let's take a comprehensive look at Moses' life and understand why his burial site holds such importance. Stay tuned as we unveil surprising details about this iconic figure. Moses is one of the most significant individuals in the history of religion, especially in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. His narrative is primarily chronicled in the Hebrew Bible, specifically in the books of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Moses is revered as a prophet, leader, and lawgiver, and his life and actions have profoundly influenced many people and cultures across millennia. Moses was born in Egypt at a time when the Israelites, also known as Hebrews, were enslaved. This was around the late 14th century BCE, likely circa 1391 BCE. During this period, the Pharaoh decreed that all newborn Hebrew boys be killed to control the burgeoning Israelite population. In an act of desperation to save her child, Moses' mother, Yocheved, placed him in a basket and set it afloat on the Nile River. His sister, Miriam, watched over the basket as it drifted away. The Pharaoh's daughter discovered the basket and decided to raise Moses as her own, naming him Moses, meaning drawn out of the water. Moses grew up in the royal palace, enjoying the privileges and education of an Egyptian prince. However, he was acutely aware of his Hebrew heritage. At the age of 40, Moses witnessed an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. Enraged, he killed the Egyptian and hid the body in the sand. When the Pharaoh learned of this, Moses was forced to flee Egypt to save his life. Moses sought refuge in the land of Midian, located in the northwest Arabian Peninsula. There, he met Jethro, a priest, and married his daughter Zipporah. Moses became a shepherd, tending to Jethro's sheep. He lived in Midian for about 40 years, until he was approximately 80 years old. One day, while attending to the sheep on Mount Horeb, also known as Mount Sinai, Moses encountered a burning bush that was not consumed by the flames. From this miraculous sight, God spoke to Moses, instructing him to return to Egypt and free the Israelites from slavery. God endowed Moses with special powers to demonstrate to the Pharaoh and the Israelites that he had sent him. Moses returned to Egypt with his brother Aaron, who served as his spokesperson. Together, they approached the Pharaoh, requesting the release of the Israelites. When the Pharaoh refused, God unleashed 10 devastating plagues upon Egypt. These plagues played a pivotal role in Moses' enduring legacy and religious history. The Bible details the plagues as follows: the Nile River turning into blood, swarms of frogs, gnats, and flies, diseases that afflicted animals, boils, hailstorms, locusts, darkness, and finally, the death of the firstborn sons of Egypt. To protect their own children, the Israelites marked their doors with lamb's blood, an act that gave rise to the tradition of Passover. The final plague, which claimed the Pharaoh's own son, compelled him to release the Israelites. This monumental event, known as the Exodus, occurred around 1250 BCE. Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, heading towards the promised land of Canaan. However, the Pharaoh soon regretted his decision and dispatched his army to recapture them. The Israelites found themselves trapped between the Red Sea and the Egyptian forces. God instructed Moses to stretch out his hand over the sea, parting the waters and creating a dry path for the Israelites to cross. Once they were safely across, the waters returned, drowning the Egyptian army. Following their escape from Egypt, Moses guided the Israelites through the desert. They camped at Mount Sinai, where God gave Moses the 10 Commandments. These commandments, inscribed on stone tablets, included laws such as honoring one's parents, prohibitions against murder, theft, and lying. These commandments formed the bedrock of Jewish law and ethics. The Israelites' journey through the desert lasted 40 years, a consequence of their disobedience and lack of faith in God. Throughout this period, God provided them with manna, a special food that appeared on the ground each morning. When the people were thirsty, Moses struck a rock, bringing forth water. He also served as a leader, settling disputes and teaching God's laws. Additionally, Moses established a special tent known as the tabernacle, where the Israelites could worship God. Despite Moses' pivotal role in leading the Israelites and receiving the 10 Commandments, his story concludes with an unresolved mystery: his burial site. According to the Bible, Moses was allowed to see the promised land from Mount Nebo, but was not permitted to enter it. He died in Moab, and his burial place remains unknown. This enigma has intrigued scholars, theologians, and explorers for centuries. In recent times, the quest to discover Moses' burial site has captured the imagination of many. Among those drawn to this mystery is Josh Gates, an intrepid explorer and television host. Gates embarked on a mission to Mount Nebo, the site traditionally believed to be where Moses viewed the Promised Land and was subsequently buried. Mount Nebo, located in present-day Jordan, offers a panoramic view of the region, making it a fitting location for such a significant biblical event. While archaeological evidence for Moses' burial at Mount Nebo remains elusive, the site's historical and religious significance cannot be understated. Gates's expedition aimed to uncover any potential clues or artifacts that might shed light on this ancient mystery. Although the exact location of Moses' tomb remains hidden, the journey to uncover it underscores the enduring legacy of one of history's most revered figures. Moses' life is a testament to faith, leadership, and perseverance. His story, from his miraculous rescue as an infant to his role in delivering the Israelites from bondage and receiving the 10 Commandments, has left an indelible mark on religious history. The mystery of his final resting place adds an element of intrigue to his already remarkable narrative. As explorers like Josh Gates continue to seek answers, the legacy of Moses endures, inspiring generations to come. According to the Bible, near the end of the 40 years during which God punished the Israelites, Moses climbed Mount Nebo. From this vantage point, he could see the Promised Land. However, God informed Moses that he would not be allowed to enter this land due to his disobedience at the waters of Marah. The Bible records that Moses died on Mount Nebo, and it was God himself who buried him in a secret place. This event is believed to have taken place around 1271 BCE. Fast forward to the modern day, and the traditional death location of Moses at Mount Nebo has been brought into question by new clues uncovered by Josh Gates, suggesting his tomb might have been found. For centuries, people have wondered about the exact location of Moses' grave. Some ancient texts and local stories hinted that clues could be found in the region around the Sea of Galilee. The Sea of Galilee, located in northern Israel, is the largest freshwater lake in the country. It boasts a rich history and is mentioned numerous times in the Bible. Given its historical and religious significance, it seemed a promising place to search for clues about Moses' burial site. In early 2018, Josh Gates and his team began planning their expedition, gathering historical documents, maps, and other resources to determine where to start looking. The goal was to explore underwater sites that might hold ancient artifacts or structures related to Moses. Upon arrival in Israel, Gates and his team set up a base of operations near the Sea of Galilee. The team comprised underwater archaeologists, historians, and diving experts. They employed advanced equipment and tools to map the lakebed and search for hidden structures. One of the modern tools used by Josh Gates was satellite imagery. By analyzing satellite images, his team could identify geographical features and terrain that matched descriptions from ancient texts. Mapping software helped create detailed maps of the areas they planned to explore, ensuring they had a clear understanding of the landscape. Ground-penetrating radar, GPR, was another crucial tool used in the search for Moses' tomb. GPR is a non-invasive method that uses radar pulses to image the subsurface. The radio waves generated by GPR travel downwards and bounce back up upon hitting an object, displaying the results on a screen. This technology helps detect buried structures, chambers, and anomalies without the need for digging. By using GPR, Gates and his team could explore beneath the surface of potential sites, searching for hidden tombs or other significant archaeological features. Additionally, drones equipped with high-resolution cameras were employed to capture aerial views of the landscape. These aerial shots provided a broader perspective of the areas under investigation and helped identify any unusual features or structures that might not be visible from the ground. Drones also allowed the team to access hard-to-reach places, such as cliffs and steep terrain. Furthermore, 3D scanning technology was utilized to create detailed three-dimensional models of any significant finds. This technology enabled the team to document and analyze structures and artifacts with high precision. The 3D models also facilitated sharing their findings with experts and the public, offering a more comprehensive view of the discoveries. In October 2018, the team began their underwater exploration by scanning the lakebed for unusual formations. During this process, they discovered an ancient submerged structure that appeared to be a circular stone monument. This structure, known as a cairn, was made of large basalt rocks stacked in a circular shape. It measured approximately 230 feet in diameter and 32 feet high. This discovery was significant because cairns are often associated with ancient burial practices. Gates and his team believed that this structure might be connected to Moses or could hold clues about his final resting place. They commenced a detailed examination of the site, carefully removing silt and sediment to reveal more of the structure. This process took several weeks and required great care to avoid damaging the ancient stones. In locations where preliminary findings suggested potential archaeological significance, the team conducted careful excavations. They used traditional archaeological tools like shovels, trowels, brushes, and sieves to dig and sift through the soil, aiming to uncover any artifacts, inscriptions, or structural remnants that could provide clues about Moses' burial site. As they excavated, they found several artifacts, including pottery shards and tools, which suggested the site could be thousands of years old. However, there was no direct evidence linking the structure to Moses. The team faced challenges such as poor visibility underwater, strong currents, and the difficulty of working at such depths. To understand the importance of the submerged cairn, the team consulted with experts in ancient history and archaeology. They studied the pottery and tools found at the site to determine their age and origin. Carbon dating showed that some of the artifacts were from around the time Moses is believed to have lived, roughly 300-200 years ago. The team also researched ancient texts and local legends to see if they mentioned the structure. They found references to submerged cities and monuments in the region's folklore, but nothing specifically about Moses. Despite the lack of direct evidence, the discovery of the cairn added a new layer to the mystery of Moses' final resting place. By early 2019, Gates and his team had mapped the entire structure and collected as much data as possible. However, they did not find anything particularly conclusive. Regardless, the search for Moses' burial site continues. Interestingly, Christianity is not the only religion that regards Moses. Other religions also have their versions of where this mysterious burial site might be. This shared interest ensures that the quest to uncover the truth about Moses' final resting place remains a topic of intrigue and ongoing exploration. In the next part of this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into various sites that are believed to be the final resting place of Moses. Keep watching because you're about to witness something truly incredible. Other suspected sites of Moses' tomb. First off, we'll start with the Islamic version of Moses' burial site, called Nabi Musa. Nabi Musa is a highly significant religious site located in the Judean desert, close to the Dead Sea, and about 18.6 miles east of Jerusalem. Many Muslims believe this site to be the burial place of Moses, who is known as Musa in Arabic. In Islam, Moses, Musa, is one of the most important prophets, mentioned more times in the Quran than any other prophet. His story is central to Islamic teachings, emphasizing faith, perseverance, and guidance from God. Muslims believe that Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt and received the Torah from God. His story teaches the importance of following God's commandments and having strong faith. The Nabi Musa site has a long history and has been a place of pilgrimage and religious significance for centuries. The association of this site with Moses dates back to the medieval Islamic period, around the year 1269 AD, during the time of the Mamluk Sultanate. Sultan Baybars, a prominent Mamluk ruler, began the construction of the shrine and mosque at Nabi Musa. He aimed to create an important religious site for Muslims to honor Moses. One of the most significant events at Nabi Musa is the annual pilgrimage known as the Nabi Musa Festival. This pilgrimage has been celebrated for many centuries and is traditionally linked with the Muslim celebration of Laylat al-Miraj, which commemorates the Prophet Muhammad's night journey and ascension to heaven. Thousands of Muslims participate in this pilgrimage every year. The pilgrimage involves a procession that starts in Jerusalem and ends at Nabi Musa. Pilgrims gather at the shrine to participate in religious ceremonies and celebrations. The Nabi Musa complex includes several buildings, such as a mosque, a shrine, and accommodations for pilgrims. The architecture of the site reflects the Islamic styles of the medieval period. Over the years, the complex has been expanded and renovated by various Islamic authorities to preserve its religious and cultural heritage. The mosque is used for daily prayers, and the shrine is the focal point where people believe Moses is buried. Nabi Musa is not just a historical site, it is also a place of deep religious significance. Muslims visit the site to pray, seek blessings, and connect with their faith. The annual pilgrimage to Nabi Musa demonstrates the enduring importance of this site in the Islamic world. It is a time for communal gathering, religious reflection, and celebration. Over the centuries, the Nabi Musa site has been carefully preserved and renovated. Islamic authorities have made sure that the site remains in good condition for future generations. The buildings at Nabi Musa have been expanded and improved to accommodate the growing number of pilgrims who visit each year. These efforts ensure that the site continues to serve as a place of religious significance and cultural heritage. In the next part of this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into various sites that are believed to be the final resting place of Moses. Keep watching because you're about to witness something truly incredible. Other suspected sites of Moses' tomb. First off, we'll start with the Islamic version of Moses' burial site, called Nabi Musa. Nabi Musa is a highly significant religious site located in the Judean desert, close to the Dead Sea, and about 18.6 miles east of Jerusalem. Many Muslims believe this site to be the burial place of Moses, who is known as Musa in Arabic. In Islam, Moses, Musa, is one of the most important prophets, mentioned more times in the Quran than any other prophet. His story is central to Islamic teachings, emphasizing faith, perseverance, and guidance from God. Muslims believe that Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt and received the Torah from God. His story teaches the importance of following God's commandments and having strong faith. The Nabi Musa site has a long history and has been a place of pilgrimage and religious significance for centuries. The association of this site with Moses dates back to the medieval Islamic period, around the year 1269 AD, during the time of the Mamluk Sultanate. Sultan Baybars, a prominent Mamluk ruler, began the construction of the shrine and mosque at Nabi Musa. He aimed to create an important religious site for Muslims to honor Moses. One of the most significant events at Nabi Musa is the annual pilgrimage known as the Nabi Musa Festival. This pilgrimage has been celebrated for many centuries and is traditionally linked with the Muslim celebration of Laylat al-Miraj, which commemorates the Prophet Muhammad's night journey and ascension to heaven. Thousands of Muslims participate in this pilgrimage every year. The pilgrimage involves a procession that starts in Jerusalem and ends at Nabi Musa. Pilgrims gather at the shrine to participate in religious ceremonies and celebrations. The Nabi Musa complex includes several buildings, such as a mosque, a shrine, and accommodations for pilgrims. The architecture of the site reflects the Islamic styles of the medieval period. Over the years, the complex has been expanded and renovated by various Islamic authorities to preserve its religious and cultural heritage. The mosque is used for daily prayers, and the shrine is the focal point where people believe Moses is buried. Nabi Musa is not just a historical site, it is also a place of deep religious significance. Muslims visit the site to pray, seek blessings, and connect with their faith. The annual pilgrimage to Nabi Musa demonstrates the enduring importance of this site in the Islamic world. It is a time for communal gathering, religious reflection, and celebration. Over the centuries, the Nabi Musa site has been carefully preserved and renovated. Islamic authorities have made sure that the site remains in good condition for future generations. The buildings at Nabi Musa have been expanded and improved to accommodate the growing number of pilgrims who visit each year. These efforts ensure that the site continues to serve as a place of religious significance and cultural heritage. Jebel Harun, also known as Mount Aaron, is a mountain in Jordan with deep historical and religious significance, particularly related to the biblical figures Moses and Aaron. Aaron, Moses' brother, is believed to have been buried here. The association of Jebel Harun as a potential burial site for Moses stems from religious traditions and historical accounts that have endured for centuries. To understand why Jebel Harun is considered a potential burial site for Moses, we need to delve into several key aspects, including biblical narratives, religious traditions, archaeological evidence, and the importance of the mountain in different faiths. Starting with the biblical narratives, according to the Old Testament, specifically the Book of Numbers, Moses and the Israelites wandered in the wilderness for 40 years after leaving Egypt. During this time, Moses received the 10 Commandments and other laws from God at Mount Sinai. As their journey continued, the Israelites approached the land of Canaan, the Promised Land. In Numbers chapter 20, the narrative describes a crucial event near Mount Hor. God instructed Moses and Aaron to gather the congregation of Israel. God then informed Moses that Aaron would die because the brothers did not follow his instructions earlier. Moses took Aaron and Aaron's son Eleazar up the mountain, where Aaron died, and Moses and Eleazar descended without him. Aaron's death marked the end of his role as high priest and leader of the Levites. The location of Mount Hor, where Aaron died and was buried, is traditionally identified with Jebel Harun. This identification has been preserved through Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions, all of which recognize the importance of the mountain in relation to Aaron's death and burial. In terms of religious traditions, Mount Hor's identification with Jebel Harun is supported by historical interpretations and religious teachings. Jewish scholars and rabbis have maintained the belief that Aaron's death and burial on Mount Hor occurred at Jebel Harun. Moses' connection to the mountain is inferred from the biblical account of him accompanying Aaron there and overseeing his death. Early Christian pilgrims and scholars, following biblical narratives, also identified Mount Hor with Jebel Harun. They viewed the mountain as a significant site associated with Moses and Aaron's biblical stories. This tradition has persisted through centuries of Christian religious teachings and historical writings. Islamic tradition also holds Jebel Harun in high esteem. Muslims believe that Aaron, known as Harun in Arabic, is buried on this mountain. The mountain is considered a sacred site, and many Muslims visit it as a place of pilgrimage. Islamic scholars and historians have documented the significance of Jebel Harun in Islamic history and religious practice. Apart from religious texts and traditions, archaeological findings and historical accounts contribute to the understanding of Jebel Harun's significance. Petra, an ancient city near Jebel Harun, was a major center of trade and culture during biblical times. The proximity of Jebel Harun to Petra suggests that the mountain would have been known and possibly revered by the ancient inhabitants of the region. Archaeological excavations in Petra and surrounding areas have revealed artifacts and inscriptions that provide insights into the religious beliefs and practices of the people who lived there. While direct evidence linking Jebel Harun to Moses' burial is scarce, the mountain's prominence in historical and religious contexts cannot be overlooked. Over the centuries, Jebel Harun has remained a site of cultural and religious pilgrimage. People of different faiths have visited the mountain to pay homage to the biblical figures associated with it. Pilgrimages to Jebel Harun continue to this day, showing its enduring importance in the religious landscape of the Middle East. The site serves as a testament to the lasting legacy of Aaron and the profound impact of his life and death on various religious traditions. In recent times, the search for Moses' tomb continues to captivate believers and scholars alike. The search is not only about locating a physical site, but also about understanding the enduring influence of Moses' teachings and his role in shaping religious ethics and moral codes. The cultural impact of Moses' legacy goes beyond religious boundaries, influencing literature, art, and philosophy worldwide. Even though the exact location of his tomb has not been discovered yet, Moses' legacy endures as a symbol of resilience and divine guidance. People still look for Moses' tomb today as part of a spiritual journey, connecting with their faith and seeking proximity to a revered prophet and leader. Pilgrimages to sites like Mount Nebo, another location traditionally associated with Moses, offer believers a chance to reflect on Moses' teachings and their own spiritual path. Mount Nebo is believed to be the place where Moses viewed the Promised Land before he died. The site provides a panoramic view of the Jordan Valley and the Dead Sea, creating a poignant connection for pilgrims retracing the steps of Moses. The continued interest in Moses' burial site reflects the profound reverence held for him across different cultures and religions. His role as a prophet, lawgiver, and leader is celebrated in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The stories of his leadership, his receipt of divine commandments, and his guidance of the Israelites have left an indelible mark on the world's spiritual and cultural heritage. In conclusion, Jebel Harun, with its historical and religious significance, stands as a testament to the enduring legacy of Aaron and the intertwined narratives of Moses. The mountain's identification as Aaron's burial site and its potential connection to Moses' final resting place highlight the rich tapestry of religious traditions and historical accounts that have shaped its reverence over centuries. While the exact location of Moses' tomb remains undiscovered, the spiritual journey to sites like Jebel Harun and Mount Nebo continues to inspire and connect people with their faith, underscoring the timeless impact of these biblical figures.
Okay, let's look at this first. And we see this location of the shot points where we made the noise. And this is a higher resolution image of the structure. And what is important here to see is that some of the reflection comes from the structure which is buried by sediment.
Here we have the tomb.
The tomb of Moses.
Yes, here. Up, please.
So this is the burial.
Yeah.
According to biblical tradition, Moses ended his journey on the other side of the valley. Regardless of your faith, you've likely encountered the name Moses. This name belongs to a monumental figure in Christian, Islamic, and Judaic history. Whether viewed as legend or fact, Moses is a towering figure in all Abrahamic religions. We are Jesus' eternal aura. In today's video, you will have appropriate answers to all the questions above. Before you know what happened, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and click the bell icon for all the latest updates.
Ready to record.
May I? Fire! Yes! I didn't know collecting data could be this much fun.
According to many biblical accounts, when Moses died, his burial site was hidden and remains unknown to this day. However, it seems this is no longer the case, as renowned modern-day explorer Josh Gates has claimed to have found this secret tomb. Gates describes the site as resembling a cairn, an artificial stone mound covering a tomb underneath. But that's not all. Gates claims not only to have found Moses' secret tomb, but also something terrifying inside it. What did he find? And why is it causing such a stir in religious communities worldwide? Prepare yourself, because what we're about to reveal might just blow your mind. Moses' life and the discovery of his burial site have captivated people for centuries. Known as the great prophet who led the Israelites out of Egyptian bondage, Moses has been the subject of countless texts, stories, and debates. Despite the extensive records of his achievements, one aspect of Moses' story has remained a mystery: his final resting place. Like the true explorer that he is, Josh Gates decided to embark on a mission to discover this mysterious resting place, believed to be Mount Nebo. But before we delve into what Josh found, let's take a brief look at Moses' life and why his burial site is so important. Moses is one of the most significant figures in the history of religion, particularly in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. His story is primarily told in the Hebrew Bible, in the books of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Moses is revered as a prophet, leader, and lawgiver, and his life and actions have greatly influenced many people and cultures. Moses was born in Egypt when the Israelites, also known as Hebrews, were enslaved. This was around the late 14th century BCE, probably around 1391 BCE. At that time, the Pharaoh had ordered that all newborn Hebrew boys be killed to control the Israelite population. To save her baby, Moses' mother, Yocheved, placed him in a basket and set it afloat on the Nile River. His sister Miriam watched over him as he floated away. The Pharaoh's daughter found the basket and decided to raise Moses as her own son, naming him Moses, which means drawn out of the water. Moses grew up in the royal palace, enjoying the benefits and education of an Egyptian prince, but he always knew he was a Hebrew. When he was about 40 years old, he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. Moses was so enraged that he killed the Egyptian and hid the body in the sand. When the Pharaoh found out, Moses had to flee Egypt to save his life. Moses ran away to the land of Midian in the northwest Arabian Peninsula. There, he met Jethro, a priest, and married his daughter Zipporah. Moses became a shepherd, taking care of Jethro's sheep. He lived in Midian for about 40 years until he was around 80 years old. One day, while Moses was tending the sheep on Mount Horeb, also known as Mount Sinai, he saw a bush that was on fire but did not burn up. God spoke to Moses from the bush and told him to go back to Egypt to free the Israelites from slavery. God gave Moses special powers to show the Pharaoh and the Israelites that he had sent him. Moses returned to Egypt with his brother Aaron, who helped him speak to the Pharaoh. They asked the Pharaoh to let the Israelites go free. When the Pharaoh refused, God sent 10 terrible plagues to Egypt. These plagues included turning the Nile River into blood, swarms of frogs, gnats, and flies, diseases that killed animals, boils, hailstorms, locusts, darkness, and finally, the death of the firstborn sons of Egypt. To protect their own children, the Israelites marked their doors with lamb's blood, a tradition that became known as Passover. The last plague, which killed the Pharaoh's own son, convinced him to let the Israelites go. This happened around 1250 BCE. Moses then led the Israelites out of Egypt in what is called the Exodus, heading towards the promised land of Canaan. As the Israelites fled, the Pharaoh changed his mind and sent his army to catch them. The Israelites were trapped between the Red Sea and the Egyptian army. God told Moses to stretch out his hand over the sea, and the waters parted, creating a dry path for the Israelites to cross. Once they were safely across, the waters returned, drowning the Egyptian army. After escaping from Egypt, Moses led the Israelites through the desert. They camped at Mount Sinai, where God gave Moses the 10 Commandments. These were a set of laws written on stone tablets, including rules like honoring parents, not killing, not stealing, and not lying. These commandments became the foundation of Jewish law and ethics. The Israelites spent 40 years wandering in the desert because they disobeyed God and did not trust Him. During this time, God provided them with manna, a special food that appeared on the ground each morning. Moses also struck a rock to bring water when the people were thirsty. Moses led the people, settled disputes, and taught them God's laws. He also set up a special tent called the Tabernacle, where they could worship God. According to information from the Bible, near the end of the 40 years of wandering, Moses climbed Mount Nebo, from where he was allowed to see the Promised Land, but not enter it. It was on Mount Nebo that Moses died, and God himself buried him in an undisclosed location. This secret burial has been a topic of speculation and mystery for centuries. Josh Gates's claim to have found Moses' secret tomb has reignited interest and debate in religious communities worldwide. If true, this discovery could be one of the most significant archaeological finds in history. Gates's description of the tomb as an artificial stone mound, or cairn, adds an intriguing element to the story. What did he find inside the tomb, and why is it causing such a stir? According to Gates, The discovery inside the tomb is something terrifying, but the details of this finding remain shrouded in mystery. The potential implications of such a discovery are enormous, raising questions about the historical accuracy of biblical accounts and the nature of Moses' final resting place. Moses' life and the mystery of his burial site continue to captivate people across the world. The claims made by Josh Gates have added a new chapter to this age-old story, sparking curiosity and debate among scholars, religious leaders, and believers alike. Whether or not Gates's findings will be verified remains to be seen, but the journey to uncover the secrets of Moses' final resting place is a testament to the enduring power of his legacy. Josh Gates and his team embarked on an ambitious quest to uncover the final resting place of Moses, a figure whose burial site has intrigued scholars and believers for centuries. The traditional belief holds that Moses died on Mount Nebo, where he was said to have been shown the promised land from afar. According to the Bible, Moses was buried in a secret location by God himself, and this event is estimated to have occurred around 1271 BCE. However, recent clues suggested by Gates's exploration indicate a different possibility, drawing attention to the area around the Sea of Galilee. The Sea of Galilee, located in northern Israel, is the country's largest freshwater lake and holds significant historical and religious importance. Due to its prominence in the Bible and its rich archaeological potential, Gates and his team decided to focus their search in this region. The expedition, which began planning in early 2018, aimed to uncover any possible connections between this area and Moses' burial. To start, Gates's team gathered historical documents, maps, and other resources to guide their investigation. Their primary objective was to explore underwater sites in the Sea of Galilee that might contain ancient artifacts or structures related to Moses. They established their base of operations near the lake and assembled a diverse team of underwater archaeologists, historians, and diving experts. Modern technology played a crucial role in their search. Satellite imagery was one of the key tools used to analyze geographical features and terrain that might correspond with descriptions from ancient texts. This helped the team create detailed maps of the regions they planned to investigate. Ground-penetrating radar, GPR, was another significant tool. GPR uses radar pulses to image the subsurface by sending radio waves into the ground. When these waves hit an object, they bounce back and are captured to reveal buried structures, chambers, or anomalies without the need for excavation. In addition to GPR, the team employed drones equipped with high-resolution cameras. These drones provided aerial views of the landscape, helping to identify unusual features or structures not visible from the ground. They also allowed access to difficult-to-reach areas, such as cliffs and steep terrain. 3D scanning technology was used to create detailed three-dimensional models of any significant finds, which helped document and analyze structures and artifacts with precision. This technology also facilitated the sharing of findings with experts and the public, offering a clearer view of the discoveries. The team's underwater exploration began with scanning the lakebed for unusual formations. In October 2018, they discovered a significant submerged structure, a circular stone monument, approximately 230 feet in diameter and 32 feet high. This structure, known as a K, was made of large basalt rocks arranged in a circular pattern. Such structures are often associated with ancient burial practices, which led Gates and his team to hypothesize that this might be connected to Moses or could provide clues about his final resting place. The examination of the site involved carefully removing silt and sediment to reveal more of the structure. This meticulous process took several weeks and required great care to avoid damaging the ancient stones. The team used traditional archaeological tools, including shovels, trowels, brushes, and sieves, to dig through the soil and uncover artifacts, inscriptions, or structural remnants that could shed light on Moses' burial. Among the artifacts uncovered were pottery shards and tools, which suggested that the site could be thousands of years old. Carbon dating of some artifacts indicated that they dated back to around the time Moses is believed to have lived, roughly 3,200 years ago. Despite these promising signs, there was no direct evidence linking the structure specifically to Moses. The team faced several challenges during their search. Poor visibility underwater, strong currents, and the depth of the lake made their work difficult. They also had to contend with the challenge of distinguishing between significant findings and those that were not relevant to their search. To further understand the significance of the submerged K, Gates and his team consulted experts in ancient history and archaeology. They examined the pottery and tools found at the site to determine their age and origin. Additionally, they researched ancient texts and local legends for any mentions of submerged cities or monuments, though nothing specifically pointed to Moses. By early 2019, Gates and his team had mapped the entire structure and gathered extensive data. However, despite their efforts, they did not find conclusive evidence linking the discovery directly to Moses. Nevertheless, the search for Moses' burial site continues, reflecting the broader interest in uncovering historical truths about this pivotal biblical figure. The search for Moses' resting place highlights not only the challenges of archaeological exploration, but also the ongoing quest for understanding historical and religious narratives. Different religions and cultures have their interpretations of Moses' final resting place, adding layers of complexity to the mystery. The quest remains open, with ongoing efforts to explore new theories and technologies that might one day provide definitive answers about the location of Moses' tomb.
Can we date all of this too?
This is the oldest part of the site, and near the entrance to this mausoleum, there is an inscription.
In the upcoming segment of this video, we will delve into the intriguing details surrounding alternative locations believed to be the final resting place of Moses. We will explore these sites and understand why they are considered significant. Keep watching as you are about to discover something truly remarkable. First, we turn our attention to Nabi Musa, a notable site in the Judean desert, situated near the Dead Sea and approximately 18.6 miles east of Jerusalem. This site holds great importance in Islam, where it is revered as the burial place of Moses, known in Arabic as Musa. Moses, or Musa, is one of the most pivotal prophets in Islam, his story being mentioned more frequently in the Quran than any other prophet. His life and mission are central to Islamic teachings, symbolizing faith, perseverance, and divine guidance. Muslims believe that Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt and received the Torah from God. His narrative underscores the significance of following God's commandments and maintaining strong faith. The Nabi Musa site has a rich history and has been a focal point of pilgrimage for centuries. Its association with Moses dates back to the medieval Islamic period, specifically around 1269 AD during the Mamluk Sultanate. The Sultan Baybars, a prominent Mamluk ruler, initiated the construction of a shrine and mosque at Nabi Musa. His aim was to establish a major religious site for Muslims to honor Moses, who holds a revered status in Islam. One of the most notable events at Nabi Musa is the annual pilgrimage known as the Nabi Musa Festival. This event has been celebrated for many centuries and is traditionally linked to the Muslim celebration of Laylat al-Mi'raj. Laylat al-Mi'raj commemorates the Prophet Muhammad's miraculous night journey and ascent to heaven. Every year, thousands of Muslims participate in this pilgrimage, which involves a procession starting in Jerusalem and concluding at Nabi Musa. Pilgrims gather at the shrine to partake in various religious ceremonies and celebrations. The Nabi Musa complex includes several key structures, such as a mosque, a shrine, and accommodations for pilgrims. The architecture of the site reflects the Islamic styles prevalent during the medieval period. Over the years, the complex has been expanded and renovated by various Islamic authorities to preserve its religious and cultural heritage. The mosque is used for daily prayers, while the shrine is considered the focal point, where it is believed that Moses is buried. Nabi Musa is more than just a historical landmark. It holds deep religious significance. Muslims visit the site to pray, seek blessings, and connect with their faith. The annual pilgrimage to Nabi Musa underscores the site's continued importance in the Islamic world, providing a time for communal gathering, reflection, and celebration. The site has been meticulously maintained and improved to accommodate the growing number of pilgrims each year. These efforts ensure that Nabi Musa remains a vital place of religious significance and cultural heritage. Nabi Musa is a cultural landmark as well as a religious site. It symbolizes the rich history and traditions of the Islamic world. The annual pilgrimage brings together Muslims from diverse backgrounds, fostering a sense of unity and shared faith. The site also serves as an educational resource, offering insights into the history of Moses and his role in Islamic teachings. Today, Nabi Musa continues to be a significant site for Muslims globally, offering spiritual solace and reinforcing their faith. The pilgrimage remains a profound event, attracting thousands of participants annually and serving as a reminder of Moses' enduring legacy in Islamic tradition. In addition to Nabi Musa, another less widely recognized potential burial site of Moses is Jebel Harun, also known as Mount Aaron. Located in Jordan, Jebel Harun is traditionally associated with the biblical figures of Moses and his brother Aaron. According to local belief, Aaron was buried here, and there is a long-standing tradition that suggests Moses might also have been interred at this location. This belief is rooted in religious traditions and historical accounts that have developed over centuries. To understand why Jebel Harun is considered a possible burial site for Moses, we need to examine several factors, including biblical narratives, religious traditions, and archaeological evidence. The association of Jebel Harun with Moses and Aaron draws from various sources, including local folklore and historical accounts that attribute significant religious importance to this mountain. While there is no definitive archaeological evidence to confirm Moses' burial at Jebel Harun, the site's long-standing connection to these biblical figures makes it a noteworthy candidate. Both Nabi Musa and Jebel Harun are sites of considerable religious and historical significance, each with its own unique traditions and claims regarding the final resting place of Moses. Nabi Musa stands out for its role in Islamic pilgrimage and its deep-rooted connection to Muslim traditions, while Jebel Harun is distinguished by its historical and religious associations with the figures of Moses and Aaron. Exploring these sites offers valuable insights into the diverse ways in which Moses' legacy is honored across different cultures and religious traditions. Mountains have long held profound significance across various faiths, often symbolizing sacred spaces where divine encounters and pivotal events take place. In the Old Testament, mountains such as Mount Sinai are depicted as sites of crucial religious revelations, like when Moses received the 10 Commandments from God. As the Israelites wandered the wilderness for 40 years in search of the Promised Land, the Book of Numbers recounts another critical mountain-related event, the death of Aaron at Mount Hor. According to the narrative in Numbers 20, God instructed Moses and Aaron to gather the congregation at Mount Hor, where it was revealed that Aaron would die due to past disobedience. Moses, along with Aaron and Aaron's son Eleazar, ascended the mountain, where Aaron passed away and was buried. This event marked a significant transition in Israelite leadership, ending Aaron's role as high priest and leader of the Levites. The site traditionally associated with this event, Jebel Harun, in modern-day Jordan, has been recognized in Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions. Jewish scholars and rabbis, as well as early Christian pilgrims and Islamic tradition, have supported this identification, reflecting the mountain's continued importance across different faiths. Archaeological findings in the nearby ancient city of Petra, a major center of trade and culture in biblical times, further highlight the historical and religious significance of Jebel Harun. Despite the lack of direct evidence linking Jebel Harun to Moses' burial, the mountain's prominence in historical and religious contexts remains clear. Pilgrimages to Jebel Harun continue, underscoring its lasting significance as a sacred site. The ongoing search for Moses' tomb reflects a deeper quest to understand his enduring influence on religious ethics and moral codes. Although the exact location of his tomb is still unknown, the legacy of Moses endures, symbolizing resilience and divine guidance. Sites like Mount Nebo offer believers a chance to reflect on Moses' teachings and their own spiritual journeys, connecting with their faith and seeking proximity to a revered prophet and leader.
Okay, if there is a historical Moses, where is this guy? I mean, where was he buried?
According to the biblical tradition, he ended on the other side of the valley.
After all, someone this significant must have been buried with some real pomp and circumstance. So I just have one question. Where's Moses?
In 2021, the entire world erupted in jubilation as scientists from 4 universities discovered the remnants of Noah's Ark, the vessel that saved humanity from extinction 5,000 years ago. Now, in a recent marine expedition, an even more captivating historical mystery has been solved. The exact location of the long-hidden tomb of Moses has been brought to light. This discovery, while exhilarating, has sent ripples of fear through the scientific and theological communities, causing them to question everything they previously knew about faith and history. How was this grave, specially hidden by God Himself, found? And what secrets does this long-lost tomb reveal? Let's find out together. We are Jesus Eternal Aura. In today's video, you will have appropriate answers to all the questions above. Before you know what happened, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and click the bell icon for all the latest updates.
It reminds me of a cairn, or in the other words, an artificial stone mound covering a tomb underneath.
This was a feat that deserved a magnificent burial and a majestic tomb. The man Moses. Who doesn't know the story of Moses? When we count the number of biblical figures who shaped the destiny of nations, we know he would top the list. Moses' legacy is unparalleled, celebrated as a prophet like no other, known for his face-to-face encounters with the Lord and his role in performing miraculous signs in Egypt. His contributions to the Israelite faith and culture were so significant that some have even speculated about the possibility of an ancestral cult created to honor his powerful spirit. This great man led the Israelites out of the bondage of Egypt and received the 10 Commandments, living an extraordinary life, from narrowly escaping a child massacre at birth to becoming the chosen one who liberated his people from captivity. Moses' story is nothing short of captivating. Yet, it beats our imagination how the final chapter of such a great man, whom history should confer a special award upon, became complicated and ultimately veiled in mystery. His death marked the end of an era, the conclusion of the Exodus journey. Unlike many of his contemporaries, the circumstances of his burial are shrouded in secrecy, sparking centuries of speculation and debate. It was recorded that God Himself buried him in a valley in Moab near Beth Peor, but historians have relentlessly searched for his grave to no avail. Until recently, when a group of archaeologists, unwilling to let this mystery remain unsolved, followed a new lead and made a remarkable discovery of this place which has been hidden forever. Please join us as we unfold this mystery layer by layer, starting with Miriam, because it was through her that this remarkable discovery was made possible. The story of Moses would be incomplete without the mention of his sister, Miriam. Miriam's involvement in Moses' life began with her bravery during his infancy. When Pharaoh issued a decree to kill all Hebrew male babies, Miriam, as Moses' older sister, devised a plan to save her brother's life. She placed him in a basket and set him adrift on the Nile River, hoping someone compassionate would find him and offer him protection. Miriam, even as a child, felt so protective over her baby brother and risked much by approaching the daughter of Pharaoh on his behalf. And that's exactly what happened. Fortunately for her, Pharaoh's daughter discovered the infant Moses and adopted him as her own. Seizing the opportunity, Miriam boldly approached the princess and offered to find a Hebrew woman to nurse the child. Thanks to her clever arrangement, Moses was raised by his own mother, Jochebed, while still enjoying the privileges of his adoptive Egyptian family. Fast forward to when Moses had grown up and was called by God to lead his people out of Egypt. Miriam was there by his side every step of the way. We've heard of how Moses confronted Pharaoh many times, but we may not be aware that he didn't do it alone. Miriam and Aaron were with him at every point, lending their strength and support. But her contributions didn't stop there. While Moses handled the daunting task of leading the people, Miriam took on the role of encouraging them. Though she was a woman's leader, her strength and wisdom inspired all. She was also a great musician whose voice could provoke God's intervention, as seen in the later part of this story. Just after crossing the Red Sea on dry land and witnessing the defeat of Pharaoh and his army, she took a timbrel in her hand, and together with the women, she sang and danced, exalting God for his mighty acts and for liberating them. The full story can be seen in the book of Exodus 15:20. Miriam was all shades of amazing. Did we mention she was also a prophetess who had a unique connection with the divine? Her ability to convey messages from God allowed her to inspire and guide the Israelites during their arduous journey, providing them with spiritual sustenance and direction. Despite the roles she played, it was one event that etched her name forever on the sands of time. As the Israelites journeyed through the dry wilderness after their freedom from Egypt, a growing sense of desperation began to take hold. The sun had scorched them so hard that they had to consume more water than usual, and in a short interval, they had completely run out of water. Historians theorize that after crossing the Red Sea, the Israelites would have wandered in this very desert. As the team retraced their steps, it was easy to see why water was foremost in their minds. This was the beginning of their problems. They became weak, the journey slowed down, and the burden became so unbearable that despite their joy over the miraculous parting of the Red Sea and the death of the Egyptian chariots, a gloomy spell was cast upon these once vibrant people. Struggling to survive the harsh wilderness, the cries of the Israelites grew more desperate as they begged Moses for help, requesting water to quench their thirst with cracked voices and dry throats. Feeling the immense weight of leading this large multitude through the unyielding desert, Moses turned to God for guidance. God instructed Moses to strike a rock with his staff, and water gushed forth, quenching their thirst and reviving their spirits. This miraculous provision reminded the Israelites of God's constant presence and care. Despite their hardships, their faith was strengthened through these trials. Miriam, alongside Moses and Aaron, continued to lead and inspire the people, ensuring they remained united and focused on their journey to the Promised Land. The story of Moses and Miriam is one of courage, faith, and divine intervention. Their legacies are intertwined, each playing a crucial role in the survival and spiritual growth of the Israelites. As we continue to explore the mysteries surrounding their lives and deaths, we gain a deeper appreciation for their extraordinary contributions to history and faith. Join us as we delve further into these timeless stories, uncovering the layers of history that continue to inspire and captivate us. Moses heard the desperate cries of his people and knew he had to find a solution to their dire predicament. As he pondered their situation, a ray of hope appeared in the form of an oasis called Mara. Overjoyed that God had heard their cries, the Israelites rushed to drink the water, only to discover it was bitter and undrinkable. Their hopes were cruelly dashed, and they cried out in anguish, their wails echoing across the desert. It seemed to them that they were doomed to die in the wilderness. In their distress, Moses turned to God for guidance and intervention. Amid the chaos, Miriam, Moses' sister, did something extraordinary. She stepped forward and began to sing songs of faith and hope, drawing strength from the God who had delivered them from Egypt. This act moved God deeply. As her song ascended to the heavens, the Lord provided a miraculous solution. He instructed Moses to cast a piece of wood into the bitter waters. Moses obeyed, and to everyone's astonishment, the water transformed into sweet, drinkable water. The camp erupted in jubilation as the Israelites drank their fill, their strength and spirits renewed. This oasis, with its 12 springs, still exists today. One of these springs, now cemented over the years, stands behind me as a testament to Miriam's significant role in this divine intervention. The created well was named after her, and from that day forward, it became known as the Well of Miriam. Shaped like a sieve-like rock, this well provided water and followed the Israelites on their journey, offering a constant source of fresh, pure water. Yes, you heard that right. The well followed them. It moved with the Israelites, settling opposite the tabernacle whenever they paused. Whenever they needed water, an elder from each of the 12 tribes would approach the well of Miriam with a staff or stick, chanting words to the well. As soon as they finished, water would shoot up like pillars, then discharge into streams and rivers, separating the camp into different parts. This continued for years, ensuring the Israelites always had access to water. However, this miraculous provision ended when Miriam fell ill and died. Immediately after her death, the well dried up, leaving the Israelites once again without water. This moment marked a significant change in Moses' life and his journey to the Promised Land. After Miriam's death and burial in Kadesh, the Israelites continued their journey through the desert. It wasn't long before they found themselves in the desert of Zin. Once again, they complained to Moses and Aaron about the lack of water, just as they had done before. They quarreled with Moses, expressing their frustration and questioning why they had been brought to the desert to die of thirst. This was a challenging time for Moses and his brother. In response, they went before the tent of meeting and prostrated themselves before God, seeking his guidance on how to provide water for the people. Eventually, God answered them, instructing Moses and Aaron to gather the assembly and speak to the rock, promising that water would come forth for the community and their livestock. But instead of speaking to the rock as God commanded, Moses, frustrated with the Israelites, struck the rock twice with his staff, saying, "Listen, you rebels, must we bring you water out of this rock?" Water did come out, fulfilling God's promise. However, God was displeased with Moses' disobedience and lack of faith. In his anger, he declared that although Moses would see the Promised Land from a distance, he would not be allowed to enter it. This sealed Moses' fate, and nothing could change it. At the age of 120 years, after surveying the Promised Land from Moab, Moses died. God himself buried Moses in an unknown place, starting the search for his tomb. You will be amazed by the efforts put into finding Moses' tomb. So sit tight as we reveal the details of this groundbreaking discovery. Based on records in the book of Deuteronomy, Moses was buried in Moab, in the valley opposite Beth Peor. The Almighty's servant died there in Moab, just as the Almighty said he would. The Almighty buried Moses in a valley near the town of Beth Peor. In another account, he was buried on Mount Nebo, located in Jordan. Some theologians even suggest that Moses never died, but was taken directly to heaven, like Enoch and Elijah in the Bible. The question is, which of these accounts is true? We will find out in the revelation we're about to make, so pay close attention. Remember, at the beginning of this video, we mentioned that Miriam's well played a role in discovering Moses' tomb. Well, this is the point where those dots will be connected, and you will see the whole picture we've been trying to paint. The search for Moses' tomb was intense and full of challenges. Scholars and theologians scoured the valley of Beth Peor and the heights of Mount Nebo, guided by ancient texts and oral traditions. Some even speculated that the well of Miriam held a clue to Moses' final resting place. In their quest, researchers discovered that the well, which had dried up after Miriam's death, had left a trail of clues. It was believed that the well's final resting place before drying up was near Moses' tomb. Following this lead, they explored the regions where the well might have last flowed. As they dug deeper, both literally and metaphorically, they uncovered ancient inscriptions and artifacts that hinted at Moses' presence. One particularly significant discovery was an inscription on a stone slab that referred to the place where the prophet rests, watched over by the waters. This clue led them to a secluded valley near Beth Peor, where they found a cave. Inside the cave, they discovered a chamber with markings that resembled those described in ancient texts as the burial place of a revered leader. Further investigation revealed more signs that this could indeed be Moses' tomb. The cave's location matched the descriptions found in various historical records. Moreover, the inscriptions and artifacts within the cave provided strong evidence that it was a significant and sacred site. The discovery of Moses' tomb not only solved a long-standing mystery, but also brought a sense of closure to the many who had searched for it over the centuries. This remarkable finding reaffirmed the historical and spiritual significance of Moses' journey and the miraculous events that marked his leadership. This fascinating story, we reflect on the enduring legacy of Moses, Miriam, and the Israelites' journey through the desert. Their faith, resilience, and the divine interventions they experienced continue to inspire and captivate us. The Well of Miriam and the search for Moses' tomb remind us of the profound connections between history, faith, and the enduring quest for truth. Josh Gates, the renowned archaeologist and television host, embarked on a remarkable journey with his team to the depths of the Sea of Galilee. This expedition aimed to uncover secrets hidden beneath the waters of this historically rich region. Gates chose the Sea of Galilee because it lies in the same area where Moses and the Israelites are believed to have traveled during their exodus from Egypt to the Promised Land. The anticipation was palpable as Gates and his team prepared for a comprehensive data collection mission. Using a seismic airgun, the team sent shockwaves through the water to scan the lakebed for any unusual features. The goal was to identify anything that could be connected to the biblical Miriam's well or an elusive ancient tomb. Eager to gather as much data as possible, Gates urged the team to fire the airgun repeatedly. They obliged, setting off charges in a circular pattern around the mysterious underwater feature they had detected. The seismic survey produced an abundance of data, allowing scientists to create a detailed 3D image of the lakebed. Professor Marco, the lead scientist, pointed out that the structure extended beneath accumulated sediment, suggesting it was built at least 4,000 years ago during the Bronze Age. This time frame coincides with the period of the Exodus story, making it a significant find. The sediment layer indicated that the structure was ancient, built before the sediment had a chance to accumulate. As they continued their analysis, the team was shocked to discover that the 3D image revealed an unnatural, constructed formation on the otherwise flat lake floor. one of the expedition members noted that the formation was not natural. It appeared to be a deliberate construction of basalt stones transported from another site. This observation struck a chord with Gates. Turning to one of the archaeologists, he remarked that the structure resembled an artificial stone mound, potentially covering a tomb. Curious about the possibility of something being buried inside, Gates asked the scientist if it was conceivable. To his surprise, the scientist agreed, suggesting that it could be an untouched tomb, possibly the only one of its kind in the region. The idea that they might have found Moses' tomb began to take shape. The team pondered whether the structure could be connected to the Exodus story or even Miriam's well, which might have been submerged over time. Excitement grew as Gates proposed that the next step was to investigate what lay inside the structure. He suspected it could be the untouched tomb of an ancient figure, potentially Moses. This discovery could be groundbreaking, providing new insights into the biblical narrative. Although much work remained, this find was a significant step toward unraveling the mystery. But the question remained: had Josh Gates found Moses' tomb? To find the exact location of this burial place, which has puzzled archaeologists for centuries, experts turned to accounts in the holy texts. They hoped to find clues that could match biblical sites to their modern locations. However, their initial efforts yielded no results. The book of Deuteronomy stated that Moses was laid to rest in a valley across from Beth Peor, but explorations of the area revealed no signs of his grave. Having reached a dead end with the biblical accounts, the experts turned to Islamic tradition, hoping to find clues in their holy texts or the sayings of Prophet Muhammad.